morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining. At CIQ, we're focused on powering the next generation of software infrastructure, leveraging the capabilities of cloud, hyperscale, and HPC. From research to the enterprise, our customers rely on us for the ultimate Rocky Linux, Werewolf, and Apptainer support escalation. We provide deep development capabilities and solutions, all delivered in the collaborative spirit of open source. Hello, everyone.
What's up, guys? How you
I
doing?
was concerned there for a second. I didn't hear anything. I was getting a
Oh.
little nervous.
Hello.
There we are. All right. I feel better.
Dude, check out
Robert.
the background. You like
That's
it?
fantastic. I do like that.
Hold on. What's happening here? Too much? All right.
Nah,
Close enough.
you're
You got
good.
it, man. You got it.
You're
Got
good.
the logo.
I feel
That
like
is
it's
an
been
excellent
over a
point.
year, Robert. It's been a long time. It's good to see you.
Yeah, definitely. I always enjoy you too.
mainly
Thank
Rose.
you.
Rose
We
is the
do have a
fun one.
good time. We have a good time for sure. All right, you guys. So today we're going to be talking about the Upstream kernel, and we have a special guest, Robert Adolph, here with us. So, Robert, why don't you tell the people? I mean, I think probably you are kind of a celebrity in my mind. So I feel like everyone on the planet knows you, but maybe not. So who are you, man? What do you do here?
Well, I kind of help you all do all sorts of cool stuff with cool people, right? So, we work on product, we work on sales, we work on partnerships, we work on all things customer related, and we, with you both leading the way, a lot of the times we try to serve our customers and listen to them. And this is where actually the Upstream kernels came from. Was Greg, myself, Zane, all sorts of folks just listening to what people wanted, and that's essentially why it became a solution, and it's why we're doing this, because people want things to change and they want it to grow and they want the enterprise Linux ecosystem to be more, and they want access to more capabilities. They want performance, they want security, they want compliance, they want it to be easy. So that's our job. Our job is to hear that and try to deliver it as best we can, and smile a lot as they are successful.
I like to call you Mr. Mainline Stable Kernel around CIQ because you run it. I think you probably run it more than everybody else. You stay current every week. Anybody else does that? That's pretty amazing.
Actually, you're right. I mean, I've been running it for almost 2 years, and it's actually running on this laptop right now. So you're right. It does update weekly on Sundays, and it is something that is very, very automated, and we're applying more and more rigor to it every week, so that when we do deliver it to customers, they'll have high confidence in putting it in production. And this is where we'll find all sorts of other use cases to really add value. And I think Colin might be joining us shortly, but Colin and I are heading over to Google today for a conference, to talk to a lot of the Google Cloud customers, for example. It would be really nice to say that, hey, can we save you 5 to 10% on your cloud bill, just because we're running 5 to 10% faster, because we're married to all the beautiful work that the Upstream folks do with the kernels, that then gets passed down to all the different distributions. But this is the power of that Upstream kernel, and it's the power of having the latest capabilities, the latest access to the latest hardware, and be able to run that with confidence with the Rocky 9 user space, that everybody is now have a lot of confidence in to run their apps that are ISV certified, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, one of the things we got asked for. We want to go fast. We heard that a lot, right? So we work with a lot of HPC folks, a lot of AI folks, a lot of performance intensive computing folks in general. Zane, you hear this all the time too. Rose, you hear it all the time, right? So this is something we wanted to go deliver for them, and they're seeing a lot of benefits from it. And we're really excited about where we can take it and do more with it. And then I think the little known fact is there's all the security starts there, all the drivers start there, right? So it's one of the best places to get out ahead. And then there's also not just the stable kernel, or the mainline, which is Linus, but the stable kernel, which is Greg Crow Hartman. And then there's the 6.6 long-term kernel. There's the 6.1 kernel. I actually run all those on different servers at home, and those update as well, and they all run pretty flawlessly as well. So you do have a choice between stable 6.6, 6.1, and depending on the feature sets that you want, um, you can choose the different kernels, and we can help you choose the different ones that might work for you. Um, I hope that makes sense.
It does. I think one of the questions I get asked quite often is why doesn't enterprise Linux just run the mainline kernel to begin with? Why is it so far behind, or why is it 18 months to 2 years behind? Can you give us a little clue?
Um, I'm sure there's all sorts of reasons for that. Just to be clear, but what I do know is that freezing the kernel in a certain spot and then creating a lot of have to do backporting, um, is a lot of work. It's not easy, and Red Hat's done a beautiful job at that for customers for many years, and they have an army of people that do it, SUSE, etc. Right? So that being said, it's also not necessarily what customers are asking us for. Now, customers are definitively asking us for traditional enterprise Linux kernel. So I want to be really clear. CIQ and, as far as I know, the Rocky Enterprise Software Foundation has no interest in not doing that, and they will always do that to some degree. So that all stays the same. This does not change that in any way. This is in addition to that, you now have choice. Similar to where maybe you'd have choice to go run Fedora, or you'd go run something from Ubuntu that's a little bit based on the Upstream kernels. Now with Rocky Linux, with full support from CIQ, you have choice of 3 different Upstream kernels, and it just gives you that choice to be able to either test dev with your dev teams, or actually put those into production and try to get the benefits of additional enhancements of speed, maybe some security enhancements that you're getting the first of the security bug fixes, et cetera, et cetera. So, and security and bug fixes, at the stable kernel and the 6.6.6.1, I mean, that's where they all go first, right? So it is very important in my mind to make sure our customers are secure, they're compliant, but we want to get as much performance out of that as possible for them, and they do too, right? They want to maximize their investments, whether it's on the cloud or that $100,000 AI server they just bought from Supermicro, Dell, or HPE, or the SuperPod from NVIDIA, et cetera, right? So we want to make Rocky Linux optimized for NVIDIA. We want to make it optimized for whatever that customer wants to run on, and have that experience and get the most value for their money out of that experience. Does that
Yeah, I
make
don't think
sense?
it does. I don't think most people realize that the Linux kernel that it comes with, or just the version you get straight off the ISO, is compiled to run on the broadest set of infrastructure. It is not there for performance in any way. It's just to make sure that it works with the most amount of stuff. And I think that's something that it's interesting when you say performance improvement, and just making some changes in the kernel can do that.
Yeah, and what's funny is the upstream kernel maintainers are extremely good at this, right? I mean, they it's I've had conversations with many of them about, well, what would you strip out, of even the upstream kernels, and they're like, actually, I've stripped everything out that I thought I could, and it really wasn't that much improvement. Like, and then the stability of the ABI stability of the upstream kernel is looked after extremely closely by all those maintainers. And what I'm talking about here isn't like a 5 people, right? This is Greg Crow Hartman is the leader, but you got folks like Google, you got Oracle, you got Red Hat, you got some of our team, right? You got SUSE, you got like all sorts of major organizations, AWS, you got all sorts of NVIDIA developers, AMD developers, Intel developers. And the beauty of trying to move more and more towards the upstream kernels is all those other folks, AMD, they don't have to focus on backporting. They don't have to focus on getting their customers up and running on a different version from somebody else, right? They can focus on innovating. They can focus on pushing all that innovation upstream and working closely with all their upstream partners to take the kernel further faster. And that's what I hear even from all those different organizations is that would be wonderful if you all started working with those upstream kernels and you could handle whatever feature set the customer wants and get that to them and support it to them so that they can execute exactly how they want to execute with as much compliance, which is much security, and as with as much performance, but in an easy fashion. They don't have to go rebuild it themselves. They can just trust that they got something from someone like us and go execute on it. And others have done this and others do this well. So I'm not sitting here saying only CIQ. I'm not sitting here saying, that this is the right way or the only way. This is a way. And we got asked by a lot of customers, a lot of very big customers. Clouds asked us, right? Governments asked us, right? Like this isn't like small people you don't listen to, right? And these are people I want to succeed, right? Like I want all the people in our government succeeding. You know what I mean? I kind of live here, right? I want all the clouds succeeding. I use them on a regular basis, right? Like so, like, and they're partners of ours, right? So, like, we want these people to do great work. So it goes back to what I originally said: doing cool stuff with cool people, and kind of like hanging out with the two of you.
All right. Well,
Thank
we're going
you.
to actually bring a fourth person on. So let's make Colin live here. Hello, Mr. Vandersmith. How's it going?
Surprise.
It's going good. How's everybody doing? I feel like I heard cloud and AI like 10 times, and I'm like, my ears were burning, I guess.
And here you are.
That's
It's like a
awesome.
genie. You say it 3 times and Colin shows up. He's magically here.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still
so-
trying to get us, sponsored by Topo Chico. So these are
There you go.
every time I come on,
So Colin's working on something specific to performance and optimizing in the cloud. As an example, it's a presentation he's going to do later at Google for all their customers that we'll be at. So Colin, I don't know if maybe you want to give everybody a little preview. See, I stole Zane and Rose's
Yeah,
stick
there you
there.
go.
See that?
I love it.
Love it. I mean, that was a good intro. That's solid, Robert. No, I mean, honestly, so you've heard me say a lot of this stuff. It's present in a lot of the materials that we've published, both in our blogs as well as in previous webinars. But to isolate to kind of what are the 5 key focal points coming out of Google Next a few weeks ago, as well as reInvent a few months ago, and then looking at kind of the stage moving forward for this year, there really are kind of like 5 key things that our customers like overwhelming are asking us for. And the first part really falls into kind of cost and operational management, then bleeds into other areas that we're helping with. They look both at their on-premise cost of operations, both in people, process, technology, which also includes licensing and support, and the rising cost, in some cases from our competitors, but just in a holistic view, if you're thinking at the top with a CIO, that it's getting very, very expensive, and I need to find ways to shore up my balance sheet in order to invest in the Gen AI and LLM projects that I want to make possible. I mean, it's become a mandate where, in a recent Gartner study, roughly 90% of all enterprises have a AI first mentality or things that they're trying to do, but only 9% actually have a plan down on paper for what they're going to use it for. And so when you get into, the cloud structures and cost operations, that's where things start getting very tricky. So then the second part becomes, well, what does that even mean? And so what we end up walking into a lot of customers is their readiness. So again, where's going to be the fastest place to deploy and try a lot of these projects out is going to be in the cloud. But then they find out that their data isn't ready. So again, a similar report, both reinforced from Forrester, Flexera, and Gartner, is that less than 5% of customer data is actually ready to be deployed and accessible in the cloud, and it is secure enough to provide qualifying answers. And so that just gets to availability. The next layer to that is semantics. So how is the data structured to give you qualified answers to the questions and solutions that you're proposing? So you have all of these things kind of all working in conjunction, and where we fit in that picture is really in cloud optimization. So getting you there so that you are ready, getting you there so that you can start investing in those, and freeing up the spend for your existing environments as they grow or move to the cloud, and making all of those realities even remotely possible. And so, Zane, you heard a lot of this from Speeds and Feeds. It's really surprising to me how much performance means just raw speed from, let's say a silicon dynamic, but then customers completely miss the efficiency side of how their workloads are running, especially in the cloud. And so what's very unique for us is that we can bridge both sides of that, making IT operations more effective and efficient for on-premise, and making those same teams as they deploy or manage their large fleets across any cloud provider, making those even more performant and efficient. And that can mean workload performance isolated to the compute structure, or that can mean optimizing for the fine-tuning requirements of that workload as they scale up and down. So we've got a lot of things to help customers with now. And I feel super ready for this presentation at Google. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a couple hundred customers. We'll be at my old campus in South Lake Union. So we'll be back on familiar ground. We're going to have a lot of fun today.
Is it tonight or is it tomorrow?
It's in 3 hours.
3 hours. Oh, wow. That's coming up really quick. Robert, you better run.
That's why I'm in the office today.
So I have a question, you guys. As I'm thinking about this, and we're using the word optimization, and you have an upstream kernel. So then, and this is maybe a weird question, but then the operating system on top of that, do they have a choice of that, or it comes with Rocky?
Yeah, so it would, in this particular case, be the Rocky 9 user space.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, something that they use every day, and that their applications sit in. So it would definitely come with an enhancement, that you have an option to run something different with Rocky 9. And then the other beauty of this is we make it extremely easy with our repositories inside of Mountain, which is our artifact delivery. Yes, your logo's right there. And this also gives us the ability to also secure that delivery. So we can secure that delivery with role-based access, and we can secure that delivery with project-based access with our edge deployment, and then even artifact-based access. So folks have a lot of control over securing these different artifacts and the updates and access to them so that an administrator can set it up. In addition, this will fit right into our enterprise Linux platform. So not just Mountain, but Ascender, which is our AWX Ansible solution. We've automated the deployment of this to where it will actually pull from that repository for you, set that server up for you, and now set up the updates weekly for you as well. So the complete solution is completely automated through the enterprise Linux platform as well. So again, you'll hit your compliance wants, you'll hit your security wants, you'll hit your performance wants, and we make it easy for you. That was our goal when we were doing this, was to just make it easy for people to get the benefit of what Colin just described, specifically for GCP there. But this would fall over to anything on premise, HPC clusters, AI clusters, anything that people want to run, we're there to run with them.
Well, I think in that regard too, I think there's even a a very blanket statement that we can make that there is not a workload on the planet, on premise or in the cloud, that we cannot make at least 5 to 10% better. That can be performance, that can be efficiency, that can be even in some cases security.
This hits Robert's 3 key points. It's 3 bullet points he likes to
Hey,
talk
there we
about.
go.
Secure, performance, easy.
I like
Yeah.
it. Miss Sylvie, thanks for
Welcome
watching.
back.
What versions of the mainline kernel does CIQ work with?
It's a great question. We do have this working for Rocky 9 with the stable kernel, the long-term 6.6 kernel, and the long-term 6.1 kernel today. Doesn't mean we couldn't add others, but those are the 3 that we have working today.
So you said there's updates every week.
Correct.
So what does that mean to CIQ's offering? Is that also updated weekly?
It is today. Now, you don't have to necessarily put those updates weekly into production unless you want to. That being said, that those are available to you immediately. And, Greg Crow-Hartman said this to me once, and it kind of sticks with me. He goes, every update, every bug fix is a security fix. So we want to make sure security is available to everybody immediately. And obviously any bug fix as well. So those are important to our customers to have that security and that compliance. And then the beauty of having bug fixes as well is, in a lot of cases, that's also enhancing performance or fixing something to make it run more efficiently, et cetera, or making something over time run a little bit faster, et cetera. So it again hits all of those key points, right? It's compliance, security, performance, and just making it easy for everybody to use.
So we have customers that are wanting not only to use the newer kernel for performance, but they also like that we can actually customize that kernel and get even more performance. So we have anywhere from 5 to 20% improvement if you have the new kernel and you compile it for your infrastructure.
So it depends, right? So early on, say a new version of Enterprise Linux comes out, it's usually based on one of the upstream kernels that is a little bit newer, right? As that kernel ages and it doesn't change for say a year or 2, that's when the performance keeps accelerating with the upstream. So if it's 6 months older, maybe it's closer to 3 to 5. If it's more like a year plus, now you start looking at maybe 5 to 10. And then don't forget, there is performance enhancements with different versions of the user space too. So even going from 8 to 9 in the user space, you get performance. And then there's flags we can put in there. There's other areas. Intel's done some really amazing work with Fedora, with the ISA, that I've actually ran that with the 6.6 kernel. It worked fairly flawlessly from what I've seen. So there's investigation that we're doing there as well. But that's an extensive flagging that Intel built into there that makes and gets some of that performance. So we want to make sure it's compatible, et cetera. So there's a lot of other ways to get performance that we are investigating as well with customers and by ourselves. But this, again, it goes back to the essential core of what customers just keep asking us for. And, a lot of folks, especially the clouds, especially the different capabilities for like Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, these people really want to focus on the upstream kernels and not worry about all the backports. So we want that because we want all those people doing all the great work they're doing to bring out better, faster capabilities. So we can just pass that on to our customers and then support them with it.
Absolutely. So Colin, we talk about performance at a workload that's running in a hyperscaler. I mean, everybody obviously wants things to get done faster, but from a financial perspective, why is that important?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just understanding cost management across all lines of business. It's not just an IT issue any longer. And so the best practices that I try and foster for a lot of our customers is to adopt a critical FinOps culture inside of the company. And so in other words, you would have both regular reviews. You would look at how much is being spent across different lines of business, the applications and things that they're using, and effectively do that across the board so that you know exactly, what both COGS as well as, ROI looks like across everything you're doing in the cloud. And those that have adopted that have seen not really cost reduction, but they've been able to get their time to value or time to market short up tremendously. And so it's not just the silicon, it's the entire workloads themselves, and then also what that helps the business achieve, from that standpoint. And so in our world, yes, it starts at the infrastructure up, but it's something that's so often overlooked that it allows us to make that statement that there's not a workload out there we can't make more performant or more efficient. And hopefully this helps a lot of customers really kind of reassess, starting with inventory, what they're doing right now, both on premise and cloud, and then take a healthy look at how much they're spending and then what the return is. I think that's really kind of the most critical place to start.
Thank you. Robert, you mentioned earlier that people like AMD and Intel contribute code back upstream. So they're writing drivers for themselves. I don't think people think about that as much as who's actually contributing back. I think most people think of it as guys like us just sitting at home writing code, but it is these larger enterprises that are putting that code back out there for their own stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And, it's, they do way more than you think too. So, Greg actually had a diagram on this once. I forget who the top was, but I believe Google and Intel, for example, were two of the top. Oracle is a huge kernel maintainer, right? So they do incredible work over there, and we know some of those team members, and we're very proud to have an alliance with them with the OpenELA, right? SUSE has a ton of folks that put incredible work. Red Hat has great folks, right? So it's not just the AMDs and the Intels of the world and NVIDIAs, but they do a ton of that work because they got to get their hardware to work with all this. So all the latest hardware, all those drivers get built for that upstream kernels, and all the latest feature adds get built in the mainline kernel, and then that gets passed down on basically a quarterly basis to become a stable kernel. And then the stable kernels, there'll be one chosen a year to be a long-term kernel. And then those stay around for different amounts of time, depending on which kernel it is. But in general, at least 3 years. So this is where, a lot of the value is added as an entire community to the kernel. So it's not just, a distribution at this point. It's everyone. It's clouds. It's all the OEMs, Dell, HPE, so all those folks add a ton to this as well. So, and they're always fixing and making it better. I was just talking to one of our folks that maintains Samba upstream, Jeremy Allison. Him and Jonathan Maple have been working on an NVMe shutdown issue. And, somebody from Red Hat joined them, somebody from Dell joined them, somebody from the upstream maintainers joined them from Google, right? So Google originally started it, Jeremy picked it up and ran with it. Now they're getting it to where an NVMe, large NVMe box with 28 different drives in it, which used to be a linear little shutdown, used to take literally 10, 20 minutes to shut down and reboot back up. They're getting it down to under 3 minutes. So instead of doing a reboot and walking away to fix something, and coming back a half hour later, now folks are going to be able to, reboot and, immediately be able to go know if their fix worked and be able to itinerate on making things better and faster. And, one of our sponsors on this is, run some of the biggest Lustre clusters in the world and do amazing things. So, it's very impressive what they do. And, we don't want folks like that having to wait a half an hour to make an update, right? We want folks like that who are running massive Lustre clusters 24/7, be able to do that in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, fix
Well,
things much
I think
faster,
what
10
also,
times faster.
I think what goes with that too, Robert, is like what makes the headlines right now is, a lot of the new hardware capabilities that power Gen AI and other cloud workloads, both on premise and in the cloud. And I think one of the most recent ones that actually gets really interesting is like the power from a chip on up for confidential computing, which is really a hardware enabled piece that then the operating system, because everything passes through the OS, gets overlooked. And that's really where both the security and stability and reliability posture for Rocky comes into play. And then the fine tuning and kind of certification, if you will, that we provide, as a safety net for a lot of our customers to enable those capabilities that are present on the workloads that they want to run there. And so I think, between a lot of the hardware vendors that we work with and the cloud providers that we work with, I think that'll be a big area that'll get exposed very quickly as a lot more of these environments and data sets get moved to the cloud, is that air gapping, zero trust, et cetera, will not just be a network structure. It's going to be end to end, right? And I think that's part of the value that we provide working with a lot of those vendors one-to-one, beyond just the stability of the kernel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The only thing I'd add too is, I mean, we talked to a lot of newer AI companies and older ones. Could you imagine them being able to save 5-10% on all their training? You think any of them would be interested in that? Right? Like, we
Yes.
talked to some big transaction processors. Do you think if they could go 5 to 10% faster, you think their customers would be happier? Do you think that, they'd save 5 to 10% because it's just how long did it take to go? So we just want to make them go faster and keep them secure while they're doing it. And, this is one of the ways we found to serve them. And we want to continue to figure out better ways. There's going to be more and better. And, as CIQ grows, we'll add more resources to add more of this capability. And as more customers come to us with these similar demands, we can deliver it. We can add more resources to do more and more capabilities like this for people. And, that's why we're here, right? To really serve our customers and the communities that we try to, give as much as we can to.
Absolutely. I don't know how else. I don't know what else you even say after that. You kind of summed it all up perfectly. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about, guys. We're up on time here.
No, it was real good to see Rose and Zane. Thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely. Colin, welcome back. Hadn't been very long, but it's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for letting me pop in. Appreciate it, y'all.
Absolutely.
Have fun today, you guys. It's going to be exciting. Is
I'm
any of it going to be?
photos.
Is it going to be videoed? Like, do we get to watch you somewhere? Or are you just going to report back?
We'll see what we can do. I'll find out.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I would assume the one there is probably going to be recorded.
Is this a job for my flip phone again?
There you go. Is it fixed now?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So what is it though, Colin? What's the name of the speaking engagement that you have at C2C?
So this is, it's actually kind of a big deal. So this is kind of Google's first official post Next event. And it's one of the first ones I can really think of at the Google campus here in Seattle. It's one of the newer buildings. It was opened right before the pandemic. And there hasn't actually been that many events held there because it just reopened, within the past 12 months. And so this is held by C2C. Shout out to Marcy and the entire team there for all their help. We do a lot of these with Google Cloud at multiple campuses and sites. It's a gathering for both customers and partners and Googlers to join. And they have a curated session list of, speakers that I'm humbled to be a part of. That kind of focus on specific aspects. And so I'll be covering both cloud primitives and optimization, as well as recapping some of the major highlights from Google Next. Our friends at Splunk, as well as a number of customers like Alaska Airlines will be presenting and walking through their Gen AI use case. It's going to be pretty cool. and we'll probably do a few more of these throughout the year. So be on the lookout for any of these kind of road shows that might be in your neck of the woods.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for go representing CIQ at the Google Place. Appreciate all of that. Good.
Yeah, I'll be in my Rocky swag and
go.
Air Force One, so I'll be showing up cloudy as ever.
Nice.
That's amazing. All right, you guys. So, if you have any interest in a kernel, an upstream kernel, and Rocky 9, we would love to chat with you more about that, about optimizing your performance and your security and your, what's the other one? Compatibility? Is that the other word?
Ease of use.
Ease. Okay.
Make it easy.
That's sort of, it works. It works. All right, you guys. So we would love to chat with you. Go to ciq.com. You can fill out anything there and it will come to us and we'll get back to you. We just absolutely appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for showing up and all the good work that you do and everyone behind the scenes making this happen, because not easy. So we appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Thanks, everyone.